Hello everybody and welcome to Skrrt Garage. My name is Connor and today guys, I've been waiting a long time to make this video, but what I'm gonna do is actually a DIY video on this car behind me. It's a 2012 C63 Black Series and there is some preventative maintenance that I think is super important on this car, and of course it's an oil catch can. And if you guys are clicking on this video, you probably already know the significance of getting an oil catch can for your car, but just in case you don't, essentially guys, what an oil catch can does is your engine is it's a big vacuum essentially. It takes air in and it compresses it and it pushes it out through the exhaust. And in that vacuum, you create a lot of pressure. And your differential and your transmission have these breather nipples on the top of them to help expel that excess pressure that gets inside of them. And your car engine does too, but instead of just going straight out the top, it has a system baked into it called the positive crankcase ventilation system. And essentially it's a PCV valve. And what that does is it takes all the pressure that comes within your engine and it recirculates that pressure and it pushes it back in through the intake of the engine. And this car, let me turn around and show it to you. This car right here is a large culprit of doing that. But don't just take my word for it. There's a very famous mechanic, also YouTuber named Tassos Moscatos. You've probably already seen his videos if you're watching this one.
Let's talk about the M156. And this is my opinion, guys. This is from experience. If I was an owner of an M156 or a car that has an M156 engine, I believe it's a must to put an oil catch can.
At, very low mileage, like 60 some odd thousand mileage, sometimes even less, sometimes 30, 40,000 miles, he'll take this intake cover off and there'll be tons of oil that's on the inside of it, and he has to actually turn the intake over and just drain the oil. And they create so much power and so much pressure within them that the PCV valve recirculates that oil, the excess gas and oil and air, and it puts it back into the intake of the car. And if you don't have a medium to separate all that, then eventually you'll be able to coat your valves and your valve train of your engine with all this oil and kind of remnants. And with time, that leads to decreased fuel economy, decreased power, and an expensive valve train cleanup like walnut blasting. So today, what we're going to do is actually stop all of that. And we're gonna do it by installing an oil catch can. And it's gonna go right here. I've already taken this little piece of rubber trim off because I'm gonna set mine right here. And when I say mine, I really do mean mine. I ordered a kit for this car, and I don't really wanna say whose kit, but I can show it here in a second. And when the kit got here, it was terrible, guys. It did not fit at all. The hoses were way too big for the attachments. The catch can looked super out of place, and just the whole thing was not clean at all. And this car is so nice, and I just love this car. It's my dream car. I really wanted to do it correctly. So I bought all the fittings, I tested everything, and I think we're gonna have a great result. And I think what I'll do is link every individual piece I bought in the description box below, and I'll also link those videos I mentioned earlier so you can check them out if you want to see Tassos' channel. But I'll have everything listed out for you guys, so if you want to do this modification on your car, you can. I hope you guys like and subscribe for this time and effort, because I spent weeks finding the right attachments, the right hoses, the right catch can to make everything look like it was factory. So with that, I'll pull everything out and I'll show you all the individual pieces, and then we'll get going with the actual tear down. We're gonna have to take off this can probably stay, but definitely that back plenum. We'll have to take that off to access the PCV valve that's hiding kind of right where the dipstick is. So with that, guys, let's get this video started. Okay guys, these are all the tools that you'll need to get this job done. We're actually missing one piece. It's this one right here. The other one will get here in about an hour, so I figure I'll just get everything set out that we have right now, and then we can actually begin the tear down and the process of putting everything on. First off, let's talk about the oil catch can itself. This is the one I went for. I like it because obviously it's black. It's gonna look very factory in my car. It also has this little hanger. And you can do this two ways. You can drill 2 holes into that lip on the car, or you can make your own kind of makeshift hanger from this to put over that little ridge. I'll show you more on that later, but I like this can not only because it's black and it has a good filter medium. I can show you right now. So it has this filtered medium right here that goes in from the in portion of the oil catch can. And this is kind of another baffle on the inside, and there's an O-ring, so you don't actually have to crank this thing super tight, just get it snug. But my favorite reason, and the reason why I chose this one, is because there's adjustability right here. So if you don't love where it's sitting on the car, you can move this around to get your preferred orientation. After that, you're gonna need all of these fittings. Most of them are 10 AN. Again, I'll have the link to all of that in the description box below. Very, very, very important is the correct hose. If you use incorrect hose when you do these jobs, the hose will actually shrivel up and it'll starve the engine. Forgot to mention, there's also a Allen on the bottom of this. So if you don't want to take it out of the car, you can just remove the Allen and let it drain. Normally, you drain these every time you do your oil change, so not very often. There's one piece that you're gonna have to buy from private label manufacturing. They have just a fittings kit for $80. I recommend you get it. I don't recommend you get their whole kit. That is actually the company that I went through. I bought their whole kit and hoped that it would work well, but it didn't. They were really good and their customer service was good, but I do recommend the fittings. I don't recommend their whole kit. Besides that, just some simple O-rings to go on these attachment pieces and some Teflon tape for snug fitment, and that is everything, guys. Okay, first things first, go ahead and pop off the front little engine cover. All right, next, these caps should just pop up. You can rotate them out like that. Rotate this out, very good. Now, when we get here, there's a tab on the top of it and on the bottom of this one. So you basically just press the tab in and the whole thing should wiggle out. Just like that. Same here. Sometimes it's nice to press in on it first and then the whole thing pops out like that. From here, it's pretty simple. You just actually pull against this and it pops out, and you can carefully wiggle this whole thing out. Look over here, pull this forward. This will come up, down. All right, grab a 6mm. Okay, there are grommets underneath where these are, so you basically just grab underneath this and lift up. Don't make a fool out of me. There you go. There you go. And then this, if it's been loosened enough, should just slide out. There we go. At this stage, it's a good idea to remove these, I think they're 25 Torx, because look what I found in my air box. There's tons of dirt and debris in there. So go ahead and clean all that out as well. All right, now we need to remove the plenum that's attached to the intake manifold at the back. And you do that by removing 2 tabs with like a screwdriver. It's kind of tricky, just be a little bit patient. Okay, these are the 2 tabs you need to somehow pull apart to get this off. Okay guys, here is the intake manifold in the back. I'm gonna get something to cover that up in just 1 second. But this is the PCV valve right here, and it's connected by this little bolt right here. It's super tough for you guys to see, I know, but it, I guess, believe me, it is right there. We're gonna unscrew this, and then that'll help us release this PCV valve. I guess you can see it now. You can move that over a little bit. Right there. So that's what's gonna have to come off. Let's see, it should fit just like this. Okay, it is off. You can see it right there. Okay, now it's time to put some sealing tape on the threads here. It's really important that when you do this, you go in the same direction that you'll be spinning on the new fittings. So grab this tape. Okay, this one is actually gonna go into the crankcase, and it's gonna be held on using this right here and one of these bolts like that. Then we'll put this on the outside. And before we make that all the way tight, we'll be able to move this around a little bit. So this might go something like this. And the old one is gonna fit inside this, and we'll attach it like that. And the new fitting right here. The plan now is to take the existing one right here, and we're going to place it on the inside just like this, and we'll kind of move it out of the way a little bit as well. If you don't have an AN wrench, you can always grab a crescent and tape up the jaws of it to tighten everything up without marring it. Now, granted, no one's probably going to see this, but for your sake, because you want it to look nice, why not? Okay, here is what the other one is going to look like. So on the car, it's gonna come in like this, and I'm gonna set it up just a little bit so this can run over the other hose. Once I have it placed, I'll come in with this, I'll set it on, and then I'll put the bolt through it into the back of the crankcase. So let's get that started. I must say, guys, that was a bit of a headache. This one right here, I used the little bolt that it came with. It did not want to go in at first. Thankfully, with time, it was a little bit more eager to go in. And what I had to do is kind of grab the outside edge, push on it up and down to allow kind of some wiggling of the O-ring in there to go inside. This one underneath was a bit easier. The hardest part is just lining everything up and tightening it down while it's still attached to the PCV valve back there. Otherwise, guys, one other thing, I did try to use the OEM Mercedes bolt, the Torx bolt, and it did not feel as sturdy, and I think it's longer than the one that you need. So actually I did end up switching it after I'd already snugged everything down, just in case, to the bolt that came in this kit. And this actually does feel a lot tighter and more secure. So use the one that comes in the kit. Okay, let's move on. All right, now we're gonna thread on the new attachments onto the oil catch can. You really don't have to thread these down too tight, just get them snug. After that, we are going to go ahead and put the support bracket onto the oil catch can. And again, with these little bolts, don't put them down too tight. You want there to be a little bit of variability because we're gonna mock everything up here in just 1 second. This is the first test fit. I figure I will spare you guys the 15 minutes I spent just mumbling about what would be best, and I'll show you guys in just 1 second. All right, once everything is kind of mocked up how you like it, remember to always measure twice and cut once, especially with these huge, hard to cut hydraulic hoses. I think I left about 5 to 6 extra inches on the hose, and I went and mocked it up, and I cut, and I went back again, and I cut, and I went back again. I wanted everything to be perfect, and I highly, highly recommend that you guys do that as well, because they're very difficult to cut, and you want them to fit easy. Okay, once everything is completely mocked up just exactly how you like it, you may now actually fit the hoses over your catch can, and to do so, rub a little bit of Vaseline on the outside fittings. It'll help it glide on just so much easier, and then you can tighten down some hose clamps like I am right now. Another thing I'll tell you is when you're mocking up your hoses, I recommend that you guys buy some actual hydraulic line cutters, some actual pliers that can cut it, because if you just try to use an X-Acto knife, it will take you forever. Ask me how I know. So anyways, yeah, now it's just time to mock everything up one last time. Alright, now that everything is attached to the oil catch can, you can take the oil catch can with the hoses and put it up against the body of the car and make two small indications of where you need to drill. Then you're going to take your drill and you're going to drill out two pilot holes. And a pilot hole is just a smaller hole than intended long term. So once you do that, you can check the fitment again. If you need to modify it a little bit, you can. I had to modify mine and make it a little bit more even. Once you do that, you can then take the screws that I have for this kit, put them through with the washers on them, and with two washers on either side, you can tighten them down. Alright, here I'm actually attaching the screw to the body of the vehicle. I'm making sure that's nice and tight and giving me some extra room. Now, once that is tight, I'm actually now placing the catch can onto those screws and tightening the catch can down as well. I'm doing this so that I can easily remove the catch can and not have to take both bolts off at once. So you can kind of see everything right there. The catch can is separated by the screw bolts onto the body. Alright, now I put the rubber molding trim back on and I cut a little relief in it. That way it just fits a little bit better. It fits all the way down, and I gotta say it looks awesome. Alright, now is the easy part. We're just gonna put everything back together. Okay guys, this is the finished product and it looks so good. Everything is all right down here and it looks very, very factory. You can see the hydraulic hoses down here running alongside. They are tucked up behind where the actual engine heat really is, so they should do just fine in the position where they're at. And I guess the most important thing I can say about this whole catch can is just how factory it looks. It looks like it was meant to be here, and I've installed it with two locking nuts, one here and one on the inside. One just to hold the bracket in place, and another so that we can take this off and on easier in order to drain the catch can in the future. Anyways guys, I'm gonna start the car, go drive around for a while, and then I'll check back in. But so far, it seems like a complete success. So let's find out. Okay guys, I ran the car and definitely got it up to the operating temperature, and there was no funky idle. Everything was exactly how it should be. So I'm gonna say job well done. Everything is perfect, and go ahead and give this video a big old thumbs up if you have appreciated it, and we will see you on the next one. Bye bye.